Hello, this is Duane the Great Writer, and we are at episode 5, The Real Wake Up Now. And today's topic, just a generalization of what has taken place on the earth over the many lifetimes all of us have been here, and also other planets and systems and dimensions. And the basic idea is religion, and also the idea of voodoo with religion, what has come to know as that, or ritualism, and the many ideas around religion. It was the other day I was on Facebook. We do a lot of Facebook, and someone had posted the definition. It was, if it was the Latin version or whatever, I don't remember. I am not the great intellect. I simply share my real side experiences and the real awareness that I have come to know from all my experiences, and that of with the real guides, Ripazartars, and the real universal guides. And what I'm doing here is the new man, and presenting what I do is the new presentation. And we, as wonderful worldwide educators, and so the definition that I saw basically was the definition of religion is to bind, to constrict, to restrict, etc. And all these words have come from particular. If you really research words and why they were created around a particular idea or circumstance or what have you, and many times you'll see that they've become subliminal, is what they've become. And most people don't have the knowledge or the experience, what they actually do, but they just don't remember of how this all kind of took place, how this formulated. Let's just say from the beginning, but not the actual beginning, okay, of life as we know it, and that is that this is a dimensional life that we're experiencing here. It's not the actuality of life. What we're experiencing here is a reflection of the true reality life is. And so it's a dimensional life because there's many dimensions that become created in the consciousness of cause and effect creation. So this sounds a little complicated, but once you understand it, it's very, very simple. It's not science. It's not a science as we know science. It's an actuality that we experience like a bird flying. It's very simple. And along the ideas of ideas that we create, and this is what it's become. Like a building is an idea, a car is an idea. These are things that are created. These are ideas like what we think and imagine with our head and our senses and the 5 bodies we have. And most people have not been taught, do not realize they have 5 various bodies. And this is where so much of the confusion comes from too, and what has taken place in the world is that people have not had the proper, or what I call a real education and real guidance. What they've had is secondhand or one-dimensional education and the so-called guidance accordingly. Maybe guidance counselors in the school. Okay, again, one-dimensional. You're seeing things from one side. A circle has 360 degrees. It's just not one side. It's like standing in the park and looking at a statue, and you're looking at the front. You're seeing the face and the front side of it and what have you, however it's carved. But there's also the sides and the back and what have you of the statue that you're not seeing unless you walk around and see it from the other degrees or the other angles. You see, and that becomes your experience. It's so simple. It's so very, very simple. And so it takes some studying, and for the most part, as things become created through the lifetimes, and this is also what people don't see, we're not taught here, we're taught one-dimensionally. We're taught that each lifetime is the only lifetime we're here. That's the basic idea. And this is not so, that it is so that each lifetime is simply a continuation. And so once you understand this, you see the bigger picture. But again, as the belief systems, I call them, or we can call it religion, or these ideas, politics, religion, spiritual paths, your basic education and science, these are the basic five, have been created, but they started off basically with religion and politics as things, these things have been created. Those that decided these also created the ideas around these ideas. So you got ideas upon ideas. Again, it sounds complex, but it's kind of like neutrons and protons and electrons and all these things that make up what we call science or whatever, how it's been dissected and determined. And just like our body is made up of, starches, proteins, vitamins, minerals, what have you, liquids, all these little ideas. It's not complicated once you understand it. And so there's a bigger history taking place that is not seen. And most people are at the mercy of an unconscious position because they don't have the right knowledge or guidance to see the bigger picture. Now, this is all a choice, too. Every person has free will, so they decide, what their experience is going to be. And so, for the most part, they take an idea and they go, well, I like this idea, and then I'll see what other ideas are around it. What is the explanation of this idea? And so it becomes a little confusing simply because the systems that have been created, they've been created purposely to control what we term as human farming on this planet. And this is the original idea of this planet, and this is what most people don't realize. People have been told stories. If you go back to the beginning, and the masses, for the most part, because how they've been convinced, they don't really want to hear how things really took place. They want to hear stories that sound good, and that's fine. You can have whatever you want, And like when we were children, we wanted to hear stories from our parents, especially before bedtime. It was always fun, and then we go night night. And the thing is that, yeah, I like to hear stories too. I like to hear a good story. And then from there comes an adventure to see, if we can make it work or not, if there's something to it, or if it makes sense, or if it doesn't, or it's just a good story and we get a laugh out of it. Whatever, we have that choice, don't we? We have all this variety, just like a smorgasbord. We get to pick and choose what we want. And so as we go back to the beginning, and I've went over this many, many times, and I'm not saying I'm right. That's not the idea, and it's not according to the officials. It's not according to the historians. It's not according to this and that. I have my own experiences. I have my own awareness, and eventually the individual, the bigger picture is that it starts to make sense as to what's taking place. Life makes sense. And I'm not talking about this life we're in here. Again, this is a dimensional life. We'll just call it that. Okay? Sounds pretty spacey, but we'll just call it that. It's a dimensional life. So when we use the idea, it's a general idea. Life. This is not life. This is a dimensional life. This is a simulator. We're in creation. And the question has always been for many, how did creation start? Well, when you understand the true reality, life is more so than creation. It's an isness. It always has been. It is an isness. It already is. And it is now. And it's not that it's been or will be. It's just that it always is. So we'll get to that also. But in the meantime, we're going to be dealing with creation because we start off in creation and gee, how did we get here and what's going on? And then each person listening, they can determine this for themselves. So basically, I'm not going to go back through all the yugas and whatever. I'm going to go over some of this more so in book 9, but it's not really that important, but to give you a basic idea that, the individuals that first came to this planet, they set it up as human farming. Okay, they didn't set it up as a la land for people to come here and have a good time and go on vacation like people do in Hawaii and whatever and lay in the sun and etc., and get a suntan. No, that wasn't the original idea. The original idea is human farming, and most people don't want to hear this, but it's right in front of you. It's right in front of everybody. If you don't want to see it, hey, you don't have to see it. But it's right in front of you, and it's happening every moment, every day, and especially by the systems that have been invented to control the people on this world. And this is not the only planet that is taking place. No, this is the basic idea in the physical, because this is the rock bottom, one-dimensional area of the physical material realm. It's not rocket science. It's very simple. And especially as you take the time to study the various bodies and how they affect, you have four other bodies: astral, causal, mental, and etheric. And just like the physical body, it has faculties and they have senses accordingly. And your physical body with the five senses, then you have the astral body, which is your emotional body. It has the sensations, and this is where this love idea is formed. This is warm love is formed around this emotional love, which we think is the ultimate, but it's really just the sensations off the astral body that we incorporate with other ideas from the mental body. And then you have your causal body, which is your memory. It basically stores many things, not everything, but a lot of stuff. And then the mental is the mind, which calculates like your computer. And then the etheric, which is subconscious storehouse, and also intuitive part of yourself that is the closest relationship, you might say, to your real awareness. And so these five bodies have particular functions, like your car or any appliance you have or anything that's taken place in creation. You see what is created. Things have a certain function, and they're mechanical is what they are. They are not you. They are simply mechanical. They are animated bodies is what they are. Just like animation was created, Walt Disney and others have created animation. These bodies are animated. And your real awareness is an isness, and it's to be recognized, and that is the real you. Uh, that is the reality of who you are. But you must recognize that that becomes the difference. In creation, we have conclusions and calculations, beginning, duration, ending, etc. This is how creation works. So again, we're going to back up a little bit here, and it is not a belief. There's no such thing in life as a belief, but if you want to believe there is, that's your choice. The idea of belief was created for people to chase, something that really doesn't exist, to keep you confused here for more lifetimes, so you come back as part of the support system. Now, if you want to do that, hey, go for it. You can stay here as long as you want. You can keep trying to make this place your la la land. As you can see, it's self-destructing. In the last 200 years, the earth has gotten really, really bad, and it's only getting worse. And again, that's not a doomsday prediction. It's one that's agreed upon. And for those listening, you really don't recognize, probably for the most part, how you're agreeing to the demise of this world and yourself within it. Your choice. If you want to wake up to it and see what's going on, it's not a matter of changing things here. It's a matter of waking up and becoming more aware and deciding to take part in something that creates a benefit for yourself and the whole of life, or you don't. That's your choice. That's why you're here. And until you decide to stand in a real position with the whole of life, then you're not going to be in that position. You're going to be in creation, having to deal with cause and effect unconsciously. And this is where in the beginning that those that first came here, various alien factors, and we'll use the reptilians, the greys, the dragons, and many, many others that have come here. And there's many, many races that are here. I don't have to name them all. Figure it out yourself. You got the internet. Do your research. Do your homework. It really doesn't matter. The Palladians, whatever you see, good, bad, or indifferent. One-dimensional area, one-dimensional individuals. one trying to offset the other. And just like in the series Star Trek, you have the Federation, or the so-called good guys, and you have the Klingons, the bad guys, and others that are always doing battle with each other and situations taking place. And you see that in the world today. And it's always been, this has been so-called history of mankind, and it's nothing new. We're still there. It's still happening because, again, we have this major control factor, and this is where these systems have been created basically off of religion. And this is the topic today because the idea of religion is to control, to restrict, to bind others for human farming. It's just really that simple. Now, again, if you don't want to believe that, you don't have to listen. You don't have to consider it. You can believe whatever you want, and you will stay in the same routine. You will stay in the same cycles of so-called death and rebirth as you always have. And again, you'll as you leave this, as you just simply grow older here and leave this lifetime, you will forget you are here. That's your choice. And life is not concerned. The reality of life, I see it as represented because it is this, like the sun shining. The sun has always been there, shining, excuse me, upon the earth, and it's not concerned about what people do on the earth. What people do on the earth is simply a matter of choice. So again, with those that have come to the earth and established their human farming, they created the ideas of religion and politics is what they did. And it's basically religion. And it was a binding idea. In other words, they already had experience from many yugas, many vast lifetimes. These individuals actually remember their lifetimes. They can shape shift from the astral, actually the lower astral, to the physical. They have these abilities to do this. And so, again, the humans become the food for them. This is their dinner, you might say, and this is the human farming, just like people, raise cattle or chickens or whatever. That's chicken farming or, cattle farming, isn't it? Yeah. Well, this is human farming. This is the overall of the planet. Now, there's a lot more that's entailed with all this human farming. And as you go through and explore, and especially we have the internet today, and we have a lot of information, and a lot of people have a lot of information. And I'll kind of pick on David Icke here as an example. He's very good at his research, etc. But the thing is that he's one-dimensional. He doesn't understand the different dimensions and different levels, and some people do understand the various dimensions, but it's basically off the astral realm because the astral realm has many, many dimensions there, and there's many dimensions around us that are not seen, and for the most part, it's astral and part of the creation itself. So there's a much bigger picture. Beyond all of creation, there are real universes, and as people get into the material that I'm presenting here and the real universal guides have always presented, they will see that there's so much more than just creation itself. But this is the first stage for us to experience. And so as this human farming was created, so were the ideas of religion and politics, which are actually the same thing. They're two different words or two different so-called ideas, but actually it all comes from religion. The religions of the world, there's basically one that controls all of the human farming on the planet. But what it does is that it actually creates other ideas that look separate from itself when actually they're not. And so through lifetimes of those that came to the planet, basically the reptilians, we'll just use them, we'll pick on them here. They have created this control factor, and they're the ones basically in control of the planet. And this is where the confusion and everything starts. And they created the religions. They decided the gods that people would worship because there really are no gods. There are other individuals on other levels, on the astral, causal, mental levels that are like governors. But again, they're warlords is what they really are. and they've just been exalted as gods. Because again, a god or an individual is not the whole of life. It's a separation. It's a separate entity is really what it is. But people have been persecuted, intimidated, and destroyed lifetime after lifetime. And these impressions stay with the individual to where as they continue on with their lifetimes, their death and rebirth, they're also carrying the burden of these impressions with them. And this basically is the reflection unconsciously that the conscious mind doesn't get, because every lifetime there's a new body and a new mind. So this is where basically the awareness of the individual is housed. It's just like you driving your car. You're the awareness that drives the car. You're not the car itself. And the body is a vehicle like a car. That's all it simply is. It's simply a vehicle. And as you get a new body each time, you forget about the old vehicle. You forgot that you were here before, and now you're in the new one. So this is where your attention is, and the world's a little bit different. And now it's all set up a particular, because it's a progression. You know, just like as you look at history, you see the progression of what's taken place, what's been created, and what is happening now. So you've been here a lot of lifetimes going through these systems, and the religious idea started off as ritualism to worship these invented gods, is what it is. And the idea of belief came in, and that you're to have faith and to trust in these gods, okay? That create all the restrictions and the binding. And basically, it's like a curse for you. As you agree, it becomes a curse for lifetime after lifetime. It becomes that actuality, but it's termed as a belief, you see. And so the ideas were created, the doctrines, the Bibles, the Quran, all these things were created from these systems to control the human farming. It's just so simple. Uh, do we see the birds and the animals in nature? Do they, submit to anything like this? No, they don't. Not at all. They don't even consider it, okay? Because it's non-existent in their world, and they have the same awareness as you and I. They just simply have different bodies, is all. But for the most part, humans consider animals as a particular, and oh, they're dumb animals, or they're this or that or whatever. No, they have the same awareness as you. They have the same five bodies also, so they feel, they react, they see, they have memory, they have intuition, they have instinct, they have everything, even if it's a bug. And this is why when if you have a fly in your house or a mosquito and you try and catch it, they run from you because they don't want to be caught. You know, that's the instinct that they have. It's all very, very real, because all life is awareness. It is not about bodies and the situations and the ideas that we have, but we do go through this process. We start off in what I would say is called the literal area. We figure out, according to the five bodies, where we are at and what's taking place here. But once we've accumulated those ideas, that is a secondary knowledge. It's not actual, real knowledge, like I'm presenting with the new presentation, where you get to and have the real experiences directly. And this is where we use the new you. It becomes the real connection to the real universes and your real awareness, to eventually you wake up and recognize what is really taking place here. So, as we have these ideas of religion, now we have all these ideas about religion and all the rituals and ceremonies, and even the voodooism and the Satanism and the demon worship, etc. It gets into all these different areas over lifetimes, because of what people have created. Also, the binding factor of fear, because down through the ages, if you really study religion, you'll see the fear factor is huge, because most people have been persecuted if they don't so-called believe in the gods that have been invented. So people have went through lifetime after lifetime of being persecuted. And if you're sitting there on your knees and they're going to chop off your head, there's a lot of fear and anxiety and adrenaline and everything else and ideas running through your head, uh, running through your mind bodies and your emotional bodies down to the physical. And once that happens, once they destroy you that lifetime, well, all those impressions are held by you. You still have all those impressions. And then all of a sudden you translate into, you simply just, all of a sudden you're into the astral realm. Many times the individual doesn't even realize that the physical body is gone because the awareness is still there and it's the same. You see, you're just minus the body. And then at some point, the individual realizes, hey, oh, gee, I so-called died, but it was the body that died. And so, because of the emotional attachments and the relationships that have been developed over lifetimes, people want to come back and they want to continue on. They want to try and figure out what's going on with the experiences that they've come through, which makes sense. It all makes sense in this progression of things. So they come back and they start again. You're born into a new body. You're the little baby, and gradually you wake up again into this world here, because for the most part, most people will not explore where they're at in that area. They will just want to simply come back into the physical sense because this is all they've known. It can be just like any of us. We've established a home on the earth and we go out there and we explore, we take trips, but we want to get back home, don't we? We always kind of go back home. But eventually, the bigger picture is that the sky, the endless skies, the endless universes become our home once we understand the whole of life, and this becomes the start of real freedom. But this is a choice we make. And on the earth here, there are implied freedoms. The systems that have been created, the political especially, and the religious systems are always making these pretty speeches with the people that have been chosen to, manage, that have been oversee, rule actually, the human farming. They give pretty words out to the subjects, as the Queen would call them, all the subjects on the earth that are involved in the human farming, give out pretty words to convince them that, hey, everything is okay. It's just kind of like cowboys with a big cattle drive. They want to be nice to the cattle so they don't just run off and stampede. They want to contain them because there's only a few cowboys and there's a whole lot of cattle. There can be thousands of them. That's the herd, isn't it? So this is the herd instinct. Keep the herd okay, because if they rebel, then we got to deal with it and it's not good. So it's the very few. You have one politician up there on the podium, and then you've got 10,000 people in the audience. Well, as long as that you can convince them to be cooperative and agree to your deception, then everything is good. But once they start to see through that and they don't like it, whoa, then things start to happen, don't they? And we've seen this. So it's containing the crowd. And this is the idea of what is taking place today. It's nothing new. It's the old age stuff. And the idea of tradition has become very traditional, as something special, sacred, holy, whatever. Again, all these ideas have circulated around religion. And if you want them, hey, they're yours. Have fun with them. They simply deal with reincarnation and karma. People will continue to uh, just continue to recycle with the same old systems, and the same ideas are going on today. People are protesting the systems that they keep agreeing to. It's really rather comical. Those that are in control of the human farming, they've set it up so that it would seem that people have the right to vote for their controllers to keep them in control, and at the same time people protest their controllers. It's almost like, well, we want better control, instead of creatively creating a new position for themselves. They want to change in the system. Well, the system's never going to change. Those that rule the system, they're just simply going to rule. That's it. They're not going to change. So it's not about change, and that's us. This is Worldwide Educators' new presentation, and that is that we're not here to bring change. We're not interested in change. We're not interested in rebelling against the system. We're showing people the way out, the new way out of creation, cause and effect creation altogether. It's really very simple using the new you. This is the directness, and the individual simply becomes more aware and starts to recognize what's taking place. And at the same time, they do their own homework and research, so they have a comparison as to what they've gone through. And this will also be shown in their dreams, your dream visions. This is where you gain real experiences. And this is where I've written books and courses, the True Course. This becomes a reference only. These are not spiritual or sacred or religious or political writings. They're simply me sharing my experience using the words that we all use here. I use the English language. It's that simple. We have many doctrines on the earth, and we have especially the so-called religious or spiritual paths. And these many times started off as good ideas, but for the most part, they're all taken over. They're all ruled by human farming. But most people don't see that because they're very one-dimensional. All what they see is they see the master or the guru or the president or the queen or what have you, or the pope, or all these figures. They look at the figureheads instead of the whole of life itself. And they look to these figureheads, which is fine. People look to me and other people that I work with, etc. Well, that's the idea. We're here, but we're all really uh, real beings of real light, is what we are. And it's just simply learning to recognize that, or you don't. You have the choice to do it or don't. And as long as you keep agreeing, especially unconsciously, with creation, then you will continue to come back. And this agreement is very, very interesting. And it takes a while to really recognize how this agreement works. And for the most part, even though um, so much of the masses and the public today know what's going on with the human farming, realistically, they don't see how they are still controlled unconsciously. That's the biggie. So those that rule this earth are not really concerned about what people know. They actually have people out there that are decoys and deceptors, looking like the so-called good guys. It's the kind of the good. It's the good cop, bad cop routine that's taking place all over the world, and it looks like they're opposing the so-called bad systems when actually they're part of it. They're just simply decoys is what they are. And it doesn't take much to kind of recognize what's taking place. And this is very adamant with the political and religious systems and in the campaigning that's taking place today. Yeah, it's all a decoy. That's what it is. Paid actors, etc. They're all paid to be decoys. And as you look at the media, which is controlled by them also, it's more than obvious for me, but not for everybody. They think it's a reality here. Most people think this is the only life there is, so they want to establish their life here, and this becomes their la la land. Well, for those that don't wake up during this lifetime, all you'll do is grow old. That's all you have to look forward to. You may think in your mind that, oh, gee, I made a lot of money, I've got a big IRA, and I'm going to retire really, it's going to be great or whatever. Well, fine, have fun with it, because it'll only last a few moments. You're just going to grow old, and then at some point you're going to forget, because the planet right now is so poisoned and polluted that basically everybody is the effect of that. Also, what we create, we become the effect of, and everybody must face themselves. So especially those people that are controlling others and create the demise of others, they're also creating the demise of themselves. They must face themselves. So it's a 1-to-1 thing. So if it's 10-to-1, then it's 10-to-1. Then you got 10 more lifetimes. Or if it's 100-to-1, it's 100. So if you've annihilated 100 people, it could be 100 lifetimes. This gets into a lot, So again, it's multiplied on out, and during those lifetimes, things happen, and it becomes more so. So you see the confusion. So what we're providing here, as we're real wonderful worldwide educators, is that we show people how to get to their real awareness, recognize their real awareness, so that the tap lining and the so-called karma is dissolved, and it's all through the recognition of your real awareness. And there's no special techniques that one needs for this. I started off with the real guides at a particular time, and from then things have progressed to where they are now. And it's just very, very simple. Just simply use the new you. Start off with their words that have been used. The new you is the new sound. There have been words such as amen, Hugh, and others that have been used in the past. Well, have all been taken over by the reptilians. Whether a person wants to believe that or not, that's their business. Go ahead. It can be tested. It's very subtle. The deceptors are in the real side or the astral world. That's the first stage of the real side. There's a whole lot more to it. It takes a while. This is you might say a lifetime course for people to go through, like a college course, to understand this and gain your own experiences and insight. I recommend that a person get into one of the new groups that we've created. We have them all over the world, and everybody's welcome to start a step at a time. I suggest to first start with the new books. And so it's really not hard. I don't have to continually go over this. I just wanted to give a basic idea, and that is it's not really hard to understand the political and the religious system. If you want to get into the nuts and bolts of it and become a forensic about it, yes, go ahead and dissect it any way you want. These are all invented ideas. It's just really that simple. It's really the intent of the individuals and where does it lead to. And for the most part, the individuals that rule these systems are one-dimensional, and you can see their intent. It shows up on the real side in your dream vision. So as you do the new you, it's so cool, and that is that instead of deciding how life is, and these systems have trained most people to be the know-it-alls, the little know-it-alls, to where they think they know more than life. Well, these are the people that are destroying the planet. It's very simple. It's very obvious. It's right in front of you. Wake up or don't. And this is where, as you use the new you, and you watch your dream visions step at a time, just like going to school, life starts to show you what's going on in your relationship with the bigger picture. Now, there have been many hints through history, and good, bad, or indifferent, and you can label them any way you want. Life is always now, like the sun shining. And once you can start to recognize how this is, you're really going to see the bigger picture, and it's a lot better. It's going to clear away all the deception, all the ideas that don't work. Okay, you can create any idea you want, and just kind of like the piston engine, and it's really cool, isn't it? We get to drive around beyond the horse and buggy days, but at the same time, it's destroying the planet. So yes, it does work, but does it make sense? So there is always a better way. You can always make better choices. You can always become more aware, or you can stay just as it is. And this really is what the invented systems and their rulers want people to do. They want things to stay the same because, again, this is human farming. They want things to stay contained. They don't want you to be free. They don't want you to have real freedom. They want you to believe and accept that you have a freedom, and it's all implied. It's like I'm in the United States, and the idea is land of the free, home of the brave. Well, that's a nice slogan, but it's not real. It's not real at all. It doesn't relate to anything. It's just an idea. It's like waving the flag. What does that do? Can you eat that? Does that make breakfast? You salute the flag, you do all these things, you can't let it touch the ground. Again, these are all ideas. The end result is what? Uh, get real or don't, stay the same way, stay subordinate, stay a subject, that's your choice, or learn to be free. Now, it's not that hard, more so than the birds flying in your real awareness. This is what we're providing, more so than the soul idea that you are soul, etc. And again, these things were started off in a particular. There is a much bigger and better picture, and we show you how to do that. And we've created a real position here. Again, we're not protesting. We don't protest. We're not against anyone. We don't battle with anybody. We don't destroy anything. We do the best we can with the world that we're working in. We have humanitarian projects, and as we get agreement, people start to wake up and they can do better for themselves. So our basic idea here with the worldwide educators and the all-natural environment is real food, real water, and real air. And again, that's a toughie on a planet like this that's totally polluted. We're not here to save the world. The world can't be saved because for the most part, people are already agreeing that they don't want to make better choices. It's quite obvious. We're not here to make people do that or convince them. We're just doing our part because eventually all of us that have the awareness, we will just simply step out of here, out of creation altogether, beyond the gods of man, into the real universes what the all is. So again, it's a choice. So that's the basic presentation. I suggest you do research realistically because the history that we've come to learn in school is all slanted and distorted, and it's purposely for the fact of controlling others so that they stay here lifetime after lifetime. You will be back if you don't wake up, and it's not me deciding it. It's you deciding it because you've already agreed to it. So as you project ideas that are your so-called future, you're actually unconsciously planning your future because those ideas are a projection into a consciousness that is created in time and space creation. The reality of life is beyond all consciousness as we know it, even the old idea of God consciousness, etc. The gods of man are the ones that have determined the planets to be like it is, and this is the many sides or faces of the gods that people don't see. So yes, it's a cute idea, God is love and all that, well fine, but that's the emotional attachment and tap lining that people have to this idea. And if you want to stay tap lined, and you can look up that word in Google and you'll see my books there, you decide if you want to stay tap lined with emotional, cute sounding ideas. That's your choice, but that's as far as it goes. Like the sun shining, when you look at the sun, is there belief there? Is there happiness there? Is there emotion there? No, there's none of it. It becomes more so. It's awesome. It's wonderful. Yes. And as you recognize this, this is simply a reflection. This is simply an idea of the wholeness of life. But as you start to see and recognize your real awareness, you see what others don't, and eventually you can step out of here without being restricted at all, and you do not have to come back. Yes, the real guidance is there. The real universal guides are there for those that are the real risk takers. You must be the risk taker. You must do what you've never done before, or you don't. You stay the same, and you just simply grow old. So with that, again, I'm Duane the Great Writer. If you would like a free new book, simply find us on Facebook, Duane Ava, Chris Courage, Worldwide Educators. We're all over. Put me in Google, Duane the Great Writer. We'll send you a new book. Test the new you, sing the new you. It works. It's the real connection. And have fun with that. And so again, we're here for now. We don't know how long we'll be here because the systems of the world don't want us here, but we're for them here. We're here for them too. And that is that if they wake up, they can free themselves. Otherwise, they're going to be coming back, and the environment's going to be worse and worse and worse than it is now, until it's just the world is like a giant sludge, like a big sludge pot. And the comparison is like Mars, where they were once there, and they still are there underground, but they've destroyed all the atmosphere. And that is what is happening to the Earth. The atmosphere is being destroyed purposely. And just like in Independence Day, that's a good movie to see, and there's many, many others that give you an objective view. Yes, this is why they're here. They simply go from planet to planet. They do their human farming. They destroy things. This is the systems of today, and it's very obvious what they're doing. You see the birds and the animals in nature, they don't destroy their environment. They live and work with the natural environment. That's what we do. Yes. And you can do it too. You can make better choices. Have fun.
Okay, well, thank you, Duane. It looks like we have some questions in the chat. First question is, what is a voodoo religion or magic?
Well, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. And I'm going to give you kind of a panoramic view here, and that is so much of what is taking place today is superstition. It's based on voodoo magic, and that is even since the days of Jesus, whatever. Jesus did psychic miracles because this is what he was taught. He was marketed as the Son of God, which is fine. You want to go with the gods and their saviors? Hey, go for it. And this is what people are looking for. They're looking for some kind of magic pill. And fine, have fun, but it'll just keep you in reincarnation. It's better to become more aware to where it's like taking a shower where all the stuff comes off. You see, but if people want to become involved in the psychic sciences and looking for the magic pill and the miracles, and there's marketed sayings such as "look for a miracle every day." Again, what makes sense in life? As we're in the physical sense, there's a whole lot more, but you have to learn to see it. And you want a miracle? Well, the atom bomb's a miracle. You like miracles? That's a miracle. Wi-Fi's a miracle. Those are miracles, but people don't see it as that. The airplanes flying in the sky, the chemtrail planes, those are miracles. This is what people are chasing. They don't understand. It's all black magic, though. Basically, miracles are black magic, and they work against you. Yeah, you can get a healing, and the healers take on the karma. Have fun with that one. I've known people that have done that. It looks good, doesn't it? Like these different sciences, the laying on of hands, the Reiki, what's that, etc. It all looks really good. Yeah, you can relax and you feel good with it, and you can so-called spread the light, whatever. That's just spreading karma. If that's what you want, go for it. It's available to everybody. It'll just keep you here. And you can put little titles and ideas on it. Doesn't change the fact. Does the sun in the sky, is it concerned or does it affect it at all or the whole of life? No. These are ideas in creation is what they are. And if that's what you want, go for it. Yeah. Was there another part to that question or anything?
Yeah, actually, you mentioned the black magic aspect, and then there's the idea of white magic, so white and black, and the
It's all
good,
the same.
bad. Oh,
All
okay.
the same. It's all the same. It's a manipulation of the forces, which we all do in our own way. If you cut your celery out of the garden and your carrots and your celery and what have you, and you make a stew, that's a manipulation of the forces. That's cause and effect. That's part of creation. Yeah. It's not that it's good or bad, it's just that that's what you do. And so when you take the minerals and ingredients of the ground and you turn it into, like, you take sand and turn it into glass or what have you, silicone or what have you, and you take the forces, you take uranium and plutonium and all these things and make atom bombs. That's manipulation of the forces. You have cause and effect. That's really all it is. It's cause and effect, and the outcome is whatever it is. And we see that today. So people are deciding, their life. The bigger picture is that we're here to experience what is not real, to eventually recognize what is real. And so it just depends upon how long it takes you to recognize the true reality, which is your real awareness. And so in the meantime, we have all these different factors, and it can be white and black magic, ritualism, etc. And so again, it's a choice people make until they finally wake up and see that it's not working, but it may take many, many more lifetimes, which we've already been through. How many more do you want to go through? Something along those lines. Yes, go ahead.
You're up, Val.
Okay, this may be a matter of semantics, or maybe it's just a subtle difference. But is there a difference between being conscious and being aware?
Okay, well, let's look at that because you have two different ideas, but they can be the same idea. But what takes place is that it's how it is marketed and presented in the individual. It's up to each individual. So we are conscious right now. We are conscious of what we're aware of. I'll put it that way. That's one way to put it. There is no correct way to say it. There's many ways to do the same thing. You see, so when you make a stew, do you throw in the carrots first and boil them first, or do you throw in the meat or whatever? Whatever, is there a correct way to do this? No, there's not. It's you figure it out yourself. But there's only one true central reality, and from that everything comes. But it's an isness, and at first, uh, it's this boggles the mind because it's something that cannot be considered. Like the air we breathe, we really cannot consider the air we breathe. We really can't, even though we think we can. You see, that becomes the difference. So yes, we have, being conscious and your awareness. And first of all, let's just take being conscious. So we're here, we're conscious of the fact here and now that we're all together, making this program. All right, but then there's the awareness. Now, that's like the air we breathe. It's endless. It's everywhere, isn't it? Well, on the earth, it's just in this atmosphere. But your real awareness is everywhere, and especially mostly where you're not aware of. So there's so much more that you're not aware of than you are aware of. So all of a sudden, there is a difference about being conscious here and your real awareness, isn't there? Yes, there is, because there's always something that you're not aware of. And for the most part, you become self convinced with your consciousness, don't you? You start to formulate ideas and you become self convinced. It's like, well, I'm aware, I'm conscious, this is blah, 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 etc. But you're just really conscious of this dimension, is really what you're referring to. And that you may have other experiences. But the whole of life, your real awareness, there's a bigger part that you're unaware of, and to learn to perceive and recognize this is huge. But this is the best part, to be able to do that, and then to make sense of everything that's happening in creation instead of being the unaware effect.
It's amazing. Thanks for that distinction. That's very good.
That's the simple version.
Yeah, thank
You want
you.
the complicated one?
No, no, it's good enough for me.
Yes. Was there something else, Chris? Did anyone else have a question?
Yeah, we're sort of deliberating. Go ahead if you've got something.
Yeah, I know that the question that I brought up here is repetitive, but uh, maybe we can have another viewpoint of it. But yeah, my question is, does the physical world have a so-called certain singular governor, like astral or mental, that we know a single entity there? I mean, is Cabal or something a certain entity?
Well, again, I like to use on Earth. We have the setup of the kings and queens, don't we, or the royalty that rules the world. And this is a creation, isn't it? As we go back in time, we'll say we have fun with this. As we look at, say, as an example, the movie 2001. In the very beginning, you have these monkeys jumping around, is what you have. And all of a sudden, they're jumping around this big stone. It's called the monolith, and the idea of the monolith really is it represents the unknown, was what it represents. It's not a something; it just simply represents the unknown. Like the sun shining, I like to use the sun because the sun is wonderful. And this is why people do love the sun, or you have sun worshipers or whatever, because unconsciously, within their real awareness, they already know the true reality, but they just haven't recognized it yet. That becomes the difference. And so all they know is what's in creation. So you have this unknown factor. So, starting off with the monkeys jumping around light, just like in the movie 2001, things have been formulated accordingly. So eventually, just like here on the earth and in the astral and causal mental realms, you have, the different rulers, the gods, the systems, the hierarchy, whatever you want to call it, and these are warring factors too. It's just like here, you have, you can say it's a democracy and we get to vote for our rulers. Well, okay, that's fine. But for the most part, those people that rule the democracy, they're the warlords that originally battled to take over their position. That's how the kings and queens, etc., got their position. That's how they got their riches. They didn't work 9 to 5 job. These things were created accordingly, and it's been a battle here. You see how history is. You've seen the armies and the kings and the queens. Let's just use Europe as an example, and it came from there and then to the United States, and then this country was formed, like many other countries. The reptilians started at a particular place. They landed on the planets in certain areas and then started from there, created their humanoids as their slaves and did whatever they did. They just are creative. While we have these 5 bodies, we're all creative, and so are they, and they have the technology because they've developed that over eons, over yugas and eons. They've developed that technology. And so you have what is created today. And as you come into each lifetime, all of a sudden, there it is. It's already there. The movie picture that you're seeing, you're in, and it's already done. So you're thinking, okay, well, this is how life is. Okay. This is how things are to be, and we're to follow the ideas of all of this because this is how it's already been created. But again, it's all creation, is what it is. That's all. Once you see through it, you see how it works. And once again, is do the birds and the animals, do they do this stuff? Do they erect buildings? Do they have documents? Do they do taxes, fill out tax forms? Do they do all this? No, only humans do this. It's because they're capable of this type of creation. Birds build their nests, and animals do whatever they do. So uh, you know, to properly understand creation, it's not that hard if you'll take the time. But uh, agreeing to deception is easier than agreeing to something that makes sense. It's kind of funny how it works. But in creation, because cause and effect creation is a distortion, what we're experiencing here is a distortion, and the real universes are a pure reality to where you don't need anything. The reality supports you to where when you're here in distortion, cause and effect creation, you have to struggle to be supported. You see, it's actually the opposite. But we're thinking that this is real life. And just like the sun shining, it's not the real light of life. And even when people do their contemplations or whatever, or they do their meditation and they see light within themselves, it's a reflective light. It's a reflective light off the astral realm, first of all, because it comes down through. It's not the real light, because the real light is the real awareness. That's the true sound light reality, the isness, and that's where the new you makes the real connection. Yeah. Was there something else to that question, young man?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for asking. Yes. Okay, go ahead, Chris. Are we next here?
I'm reading through the chat here just to make sure that I didn't miss anything.
Okay, no, I appreciate these things because it covers it a little finer, but there's a lot more to this, of course. This is just a very, very sketchy generalization. This is not written in stone. This is not what it is. Everybody will have their experiences. But for the most part, most people just skip from one idea to the other, thinking that this idea is better than this idea, when it's really all in creation. Yes. And this is where, when you're in the real universe, it has nothing to do with any of this. And just like the ideas of religion and politics, even when you go into the astral realm, it's really not there. It's in certain places because there's so much there. It's bigger than the sky, and the universe is here in the physical. But and this is not really a real universe. This is a realm, is what it is. It's why it's all black, because this is the lowest part of life. It's just we're in blackness. Okay, we call it outer space, and there's light here, but the only light here is planets on fire, rocks on fire. That's the light. And if you want to call them divine, go ahead. I see them as as far out and wonderful too, but it's not the ultimate, and nothing is negated. We don't negate anything. We are simply adding to our experiences so we make better choices. And we don't use the terms good and bad, right and wrong, because it's not so. Everything is whatever you make it, just like a mound of clay. You turn it into what you want, and then if you want to, push it back into the square that it was, go right ahead. It's the same mound of clay. This is how creation works. Yeah, and so whatever form you make out of it, it's not good or bad or right or wrong. You decide what you want to do because you're learning through this process, playing in creation, how to wake up. And today, and it's been so many times, and the marketing ploy of the love idea, which is really your sensations and feelings, is people are thinking that, oh, this will just solve everything. Oh, what the world needs now is love. Well, yeah, go ahead, have fun with it. And it's just tap lining reincarnation is all it is, because the focus is on emotional feeling and love. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a so-called warm love. And yeah, you can have that for as long as you want, and you'll just keep coming back. And if you want to do that, have fun with it. There's a bigger picture. Again, when you look at the sun, do you see love? Do you see the emotional love? No, it's more so. Life is real, is what it is. It's so real that you might say it's scary to the personal self, but it's just real. And it's just totally clear and clean. Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, it's wonderful, is what it is. That's why we are wonderful worldwide educators. Yeah, we're more so than just the feelings that people can generate with the love idea. And actually, the love idea is marketing ploy by the reptilians, as a matter of fact, especially today. Yeah. And they add it to religion and politics and everything. And you see people cheering on the candidates and whatever. They're all getting tap lined. They're all being subdued. And most of them will be back in future lifetimes because they keep agreeing with the system. They think that there's going to be a better master or controller out there for them, and so they're the ones agreeing to it. And then after the so-called candidate is appointed, then they're protesting him because they don't agree with him anymore, but yet they're protesting the system that they agree to. I guess that all makes sense. Well, have fun with it. So again, the birds and the bees, they don't seem to agree. I don't need to either. I just create a new position that's wonderful and share my real side experiences. And for the most part, it doesn't always fit in with the world system here that wants to be controlled. Well, that's a choice. We're not here to convince anyone. We're just doing our part while we have these bodies here, and we're only going to be here a short time, and then it's gone. And this is a great window of opportunity, and for the most part, the mankind will go back into the dark ages because we're basically already there anyhow. The planet's so poisoned and polluted, it's only getting worse every single day. There's over 5 billion cars, as an example, and boats and planes that are starting up every day, chemtrails, microwaves. How is it getting better? So yeah, go ahead and save for your IRA. Good luck. The end result is you'll just be old and you'll forget again. Yeah, if you don't wake up. And again, we are the new way out. Yes, was there another question?
There's a follow up about the voodoo idea and using dolls and manipulating creation, intent, and good, evil, all this stuff. There's a follow up about that if you'd like to cover it.
Yeah, again, it's ideas. And it's people going from one idea to another, and it's all the same. So you have the basics here of survival, And the overall is learning to recognize your real awareness. And again, this is what people have not been taught. So you have the systems here, and yes, it's you can call it voodoo, white, black magic. You can call it religion. You call it whatever you want. It's all the same thing. It's simply seeing what's really taking place here. And if people want to be controlled and believe in gods and etc. and their campaign managers and etc. and their diplomats, fine, go for it, because the end result is the same. Look at human history; it has not changed. It all stays the same, and you'll just keep reincarnating here because it's just simply reincarnation is simply a continuation. The body only lasts so long. Just like your car, it only lasts so long, then it goes to the junkyard. They take the same metal, they reform it, and they make a new car. So that new Honda that you're driving was probably your old Chevy in the 70s, you see? And they just reform it, but you don't recognize it. You see, you don't go, well, gee, there's something familiar about this car. I don't know what it is, but wow, it's like deja vu. Well, you can use that idea too, but it's probably your old Chevy, you see. But it doesn't matter. The bigger picture is to recognize your real awareness. And people really want freedom. They want real freedom, but they won't get it here, no matter what the systems do, no matter if everybody has free energy or whatever they have, free food, free energy, all the money in the world. It's not going to do it. It's only through your real awareness. You'll still grow old and come back. It won't matter. Yeah, you can live the good life for a few moments, which many of us have for many lifetimes, and we're still back simply because it has nothing to do with your real awareness. Then you're okay. Then you're consciously aware every moment in a real position, I call it, yes. I have to create new terms accordingly because they get mixed with the old terms. And then people take into consideration, oh, this is this and this is this, the little know-it-alls with their literal minds, because life isn't about the literal mind. That would be like saying that your car knows what life is, or your computer, when it doesn't. It's just something in creation that becomes the difference. So it's learning to be objective and seeing what's going on instead of mashing everything together, thinking that you're the body, you're the mind, you're the emotion, you're the feelings, all these things. This is what basically people think is this is what they are. Well, as long as they keep thinking that and agreeing to it, then that's what they are. That's all they are. They're vulnerable to everything. But through your real awareness, you become to a point to where no, nothing can affect you because your awareness supersedes time and space and creation and all the restrictions that you've agreed to previously. But that's a decision you make. Most people like their restrictions, so they're going to keep agreeing. It's a matter of choice. So with that said, why don't we just wrap that up? You got enough there, Chris? That's plenty. Yeah, that's plenty. That gives an idea. So that's number 5. We'll see when we'll do the next one. I don't know if it'll be next week, but maybe it'll be a while. So we've said a lot out there. So that's 5 episodes. So we'll give it a while. Yes, thank you everybody for coming and sharing. It's all for you, as I said. So a little bit better understanding to deal with the world while we're here. Yeah.
This is real. When the recording was amazing, by the way, and I was thinking to myself that I think when people listen to this, if anybody can't see how simple it is, then they're really not ready, because everything I believe was in this particular recording, and outside of this, I think just the general, the information, the level of information and the depth of information that you're presenting, Duane, with a new presentation, I just think it's unbelievable, and I haven't seen this depth of information anywhere. And since coming out of Christianity 12 years ago, I've looked at so many different things and researched and seen all the information that's going on, with all the stuff with the vaccines and just religion and all the systems. And there are many people out there that say so many different things, but I haven't anywhere seen the amount and the depth of information that's presented with the new presentation. And I can only imagine that it must have taken something. It must have taken you, Duane, something to get at this stage where you are now, because it's just awesome. I can't even find a word for it. I really can't. But it's just real. It's just so real.
Well, I'm so glad you recognize it. It's so cool
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
again, it's the being to being idea, and it's so great to know people that finally do recognize some part of it. And the best part is that whatever I present, this is the start. You haven't seen
Yeah.
nothing yet. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's more so than the words themselves, but they create and provide a reference. And yeah, it is awesome, and it's like the sun shining. It's so simple and it makes sense, but yet
Mm.
it's overlooked.
Yeah.
It's always overlooked, and people go to their little ideas of phenomena and then just get all entangled in them and wonder why it doesn't work. And
Yeah.
it's very obvious, and so we're just helping people along here a little bit if they'll just take the time, and then they're okay. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
simple. Yeah, yeah,
No, yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm really grateful. I'm so grateful, and I thank you. I really have to thank you for this.
Well, thank you for showing up and sharing what you have too, and so it's all part of it. Eventually you get to the part. It's the best. The best part is that when you really sincerely get there, when you really want nothing, and you are only interested in, providing a benefit. You stand with the whole of life. That becomes really the best part. Is really getting beyond that personal self altogether. It really does,
Mm.
because that's how you free yourself. Because people can't free themselves when they continually want something for their personal
Mm.
life, when actually everything's already available. All they simply have to do is stand with the reality life is and realize, wow, I really don't need anything. All I have to do is just simply go through the motions and just have fun with the creative adventure and the challenge. And it comes about in some way anyhow, and you'll get what you need on any level. And yes, you're going to have struggles there. It's not that you're going to always be provided. We all go through struggles. That's part of it too, because that's part of the wake up. And I don't like to see people struggle. I do the best I can and take all the time I can to make sure that people are okay, because I see the preciousness of their real awareness. And that's what I see
Mm.
in each individual. I see them as beings of light, and to get them to focus there, to just see that a little bit, that's huge.
Yeah.
From all the all the distortion and the appearances of things, which is understandable too. It's a toughie. It's really a toughie, because the biggest part, again, is the unconscious part that reflects to where the individual is not conscious of that taking place. You see, that's the biggest part for the individual to
Yeah.
recognize that, and that takes time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last 3 weeks or so, um, I've been seeing that the things that I maybe thought that I wanted, well, they're becoming less and less important to me. I don't really want those things anymore. So, I've started seeing that already.
Well, what
Yeah.
replaces that now is your real awareness, to where, there you're starting to recognize the freedom that you will always, the
Mm.
real freedom that you've always been after, you see? So it's not
Yeah.
that you're not to want things, that's not the idea, and you will still want things and have things. Again, nothing is negated, everything is fine. But now what you're doing is you're replacing your real awareness with these, without having to chase these things, because, if you need them, they're available. It's like a book on the shelf. You don't have to carry them around like we did when we were younger in school. We have the knowledge, and if we want to go to the book, we read it to get the knowledge or information, but we don't have to carry it around anymore. It doesn't have to be a part of us. It's now a separate thing, is what it is. And so now the old ideas, unfoldment or spiritual growth or whatever, these ideas, but really it's more real than that. Even that we get locked into these ideas thinking, oh, it's this or this. We start categorizing them, and what happens is that these categories become again, like they become the old books, carrying them around, and we don't really need those categories. We just simply see them as reference. And yeah, it just everything is a reference to and a comparison to the true reality, because now we know about the isness. That was what was missing, was the isness. And having someone to present that has the awareness to do so. And the old gurus and masters, and even the ones of today, they don't have any idea that it even exists. So again, this is where people just keep going around in circles, and they just create new ideas that sound good, but it's the same old stuff. But they're missing the isness. They don't recognize that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the all aliveness life is. Yeah, that's the real life, is the isness, to stand in that and recognize that, more so than just the breathing body. But the body is not negated because of that. It has its place, for the time that we use it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then we're okay. See, we're always okay. It's so cool, like the sun shining.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're wonderful, Frida. Thank you for stepping up too. Yes, it's you
Mm.
see,
Welcome.
everybody brings something. Everybody brings something. I do my part, everybody else does their part, and we really support each other by the very fact of how we recognize what we do and what we contribute, you know, and that's so cool. And on this physical level, you see the indigenous people in their communities, they supported each other. Today, it's not the same. They've been taught to, the communities of the world, there are communities, but they've been taught distortion. So everybody's kind of out for themselves, who can climb the
Mm.
corporate ladder or who can get what they can get for themselves, and who's doing better than who, and competition and all these
Yeah.
things. Well, it's been purposely implemented simply because it's easier for those that rule the human farming to control others, because when they're in a community and they're self-satisfied, they can't be controlled. But when
Yeah.
they're distorted and deceived, then they can be controlled. So people love their deception. So, these are the people that you see, voting for their candidates that are just paid actors. They love to be deceived and
Mm.
controlled. It's their choice. So you have free will. I've never seen a bird vote.
That would be funny.
Have you, Val? Have you ever seen a bird vote? Is there?
Not yet.
You're talking to the birds and the creatures out there, the animals out there. Are they discussing any of this, Val? Yes.
They haven't been discussing the election, no, not that
Oh,
I
they
know
have. They haven't really. They're just not keeping up with it, are they?
of.
Uh, do you get cable here? You guys get cable? Yeah. Give them that question. Do you guys get cable here? Yeah, it's rather humorous, isn't it? It's all very humorous, but it's okay. This is just part of the wake up, and it has to get brutal at times. A car crash, or falling out of an airplane, or your house burning down, or you got to go to war. That's part of the wake up. It has to get to the point to where, and this is where we're given the opportunity each lifetime, but it really doesn't have to get to that point at all, because we've all been through that many times. We've died many times. We've killed others. We've been killed. deceived and, etc., done everything. And now we're here. So we don't have to go through that anymore. But then there are those people that want to keep doing it. So it's like, okay, yeah. So I see what we're providing is wonderful. It's so simple. Just keep it simple.
Mm.
And I like to see people light up. That's the whole idea. Yeah. And what they have their idea of me is well, whatever. But it's not that at all. I'm just sharing my real experiences like everybody else. That's all. I love it. I like the kid. I like to hear the stories. I like to hear the adventures because it becomes part of my real awareness to where I can better operate and provide what I do and make better choices also. That's all.
All right. Well, I'll use some of that as well. And
You're amazing, Chris. You figure it out. Yes. I know as I'm going to write something or the next courses, I just finished number 7 here on the life levels. I don't know what's coming up next or what I'm going to write, and then I just kind of wait, and then I start to see the basic idea, and then I start to write it. And yeah, the challenge is always there. I've got to create it to where it makes sense and that it's workable and beneficial for others. And so always the challenge, and you too. Thank you so much. This is great because there will, from this, I know that there will be at least one person somewhere that will step up. We may never know them, but I'm sure there'll be many. So it's cool, yeah. And life supports us. That's the best part. Yeah, the whole of
Yeah.
life supports us. We don't have to struggle and look for the light of life, which is really usually the secondary light, but the whole of life supports us because we know about the isness. And this is our focus and our intent. See, intent is very important. Where to place your intent. And this is where most people don't know. So they need to know about the isness so you can place your intent with the isness and then you pivot from there. Yeah, it's very important. It's not just having ideas and creating something. This is where, when people take something, they can have a good idea and it can go this way or that way. But the end result, it'll all fizzle out because it's in creation, you know. You need the support with your real awareness with the whole of life. You really do. Otherwise, what have you got? You've got creation and the appearance of that. That's nothing.
And also another thing with the new presentation is that you can stop searching because everybody is searching for the truth. But when you actually become aware of the is, you can stop searching in terms of in creation. Of course, I know that we have other realms, to get to. But in terms of people on Earth doing their research and trying to find out, is there God, is there not a God, what's true, what's not. This is what I found anyway after coming across a new presentation. I found that my search is over, really.
Yeah, you were searching for that position to start from. It's kind of like looking for the train station to get on your trip. And this is why many times in people's real side experiences or your dream visions, your dreams, that people are at the train station ready to get on the train. And many times they will have their baggage with them or their luggage. And I've known many people that have experiences to where all of a sudden then the experience itself ends. And see, they want to get on the train, but they have their baggage, you see. And when you get on the train, you don't need baggage. You see, they're trying to get on the train with the baggage. It's kind of like trying to get through the narrow door and you got these 2 suitcases and you can't quite get in, right? Well, you just let them go. You don't need them. And then get on and then you're fine. And that's what it's about. So, yeah, the idea of truth is real according to the individual. Everybody has their own truth, but real truth is the all aliveness life is, and that's what everybody's looking for. People can say this is truth or that's truth, but That's fine, but that's personal truth, and they can say, well, God is truth, or Jesus, or uh, you know, life is love, or all these things. That's their personal truth. That's in creation. That's not the true reality life is. But they can decide that if they wish, and they decide if they wish to go further, because it's recognition. It's recognizing the true reality. Yes, and that shows up on the real side. And those that can see the real side, and others, they will see those that do recognize it at some point or whatever, you see. So, but again, it's an individual affair. Yeah, the world is full of its own truth, it's full of itself, and that's all fine. Again, nothing is negated. It's choice. People have free will. They have the right to do whatever they want, and it's all fine. We're just providing an option. Yes, yes, a fun one, real one.
Yeah.
Yes, we are real. Okay, kids. Well, see you tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up, and thank you, Frida from Ghana, and everybody else from across the world. And always wonderful to hear your voice and see the real you here. All you wonderful beings. Thank you so much for showing up.